I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to face your fear and become the person that you want to be. Because a lot of people are afraid to face their fear. They're afraid to really go into the fear. But there's a way to do it specifically that I'm going to share with you in this video that I believe a lot of people just simply don't see, because there's a way to go into the fear, but actually not necessarily by amplifying the fear. There's a way to not amplify it and to actually diminish it. So as you go into it, what happens is that you actually lessen it versus maybe having some unconscious assumption that perhaps you need to amplify the fear in order to remove it. Yes, you need to look at the fear in order to remove it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to amplify it. I'm going to share with you what I mean by that in this video so that you can face your fear. And actually by doing this, allow yourself to shift into and to become that person that you want to be. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, all the details for that will be down below. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is a simple understanding, which is that the past does not define who you are. The past does not define who you are. You might be thinking, well, how is this even connected to facing your fear? It's absolutely connected, because the thing is that if you want to truly face your fear, you got to start to come into your power in terms of understanding that any fear, which is usually based upon the past does not define your identity. See, your identity and who you decide to be in this present moment is completely fluid. It's not static. It's not stagnant. See, when we become stagnant, many people do not see that it is in fact, in a way, and in fact completely, but in my perception, it's completely a choice. But just to make this more relatable to as many people as possible, I'll say that to a very large degree, it is a choice. And if you don't believe that it's a choice to be stuck, here's what I'll say. I'll say that to a much larger degree than people are willing to take responsibility for, they have more say in how much of a choice it is in terms of allowing that past to define who they are in this present moment now. So what I'm really trying to say here is that if any kind of past emotion comes up, some emotion of the past, some emotion of who you used to be, right? I want you to understand that the truth here, which is something that many people are not willing to accept, is that it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. See, you are something much greater. And actually you have a choice in terms of who you decide to be. This takes a lot of courage because what happens is that you need to become an independent thinker if you want to accept this truth. Are you willing to take full responsibility of the truth that actually that emotion of lack, that emotion of fear is ultimately speaking in this present moment? If you look at it with enough discernment, if you truly face it, if you truly look at it, what you'll see is that it's just a feeling. And if you move into it with a certain level of perception and a certain kind of intentions, a specific kind of intention, which I'm going to share with you in a moment how to do this, you'll see that if you move into it and you go directly into the fear and you actually fully face the fear with a certain level of perception, you'll see that on the other side of that fear, whatever you think is going to happen doesn't actually happen. It doesn't actually happen. It's a false, it's like the fear is trying to like entangle you into it. But again, if you move into it with a certain level of perception, it just fades away. It turns into You could say nothing if you want, but really what happens is that it's just you see it to be untrue. You see the fear to be untrue. And see, this is the reason why most people don't become who they want to be, because they believe that the fear is true. One thing that I've come to realize is that if there's any thought form, any perception that's in your field of consciousness that is, and I know how it sounds consciousness, it's like, why is he saying consciousness? Well, it's just what it is. I don't know how else to say it. Right? If there's any thought form that is in your awareness, you could say, that is grounded upon something that is untrue, it will cause your emotional state to decrease very, very intensely. Now, if you keep going in that direction more and you believe in the fear again and again and again and again, at some point you believe the fear to be true, and then it defines your identity. But the truth is that you can choose your identity regardless of what the past is telling you that you are. And that fear is just the past. It has nothing to do with your present moment decisions to be who you prefer to be. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that what you want to do is change the meaning. This is what I've personally come to see in my experience. It's incredibly powerful, is to change the meaning of the feeling and the thought and the emotion. So if there's any kind of fear that's coming up in your life, any kind of lack, there's many emotions that can be grounded in fear. Maybe jealousy, maybe it's like there's a fear of like not having enough, right? There's all these different emotions that can come up. The fear of not having enough, all these different emotions, right? What I want you to understand is that actually you can completely change the meaning of this. See, most people try to heal the fear. They try to heal the fear. Say, how do I heal this fear? How do I heal this broken part of myself? But what if actually the reason why we became broken to begin with is because we forgot that we're already perfect, and we kept believing in this idea that something is broken. It's like, wait, something is broken, something is broken, wait, something is broken, something is broken. And you believed in that so much, now you're in a reality where you believe that something needs to be fixed. But what if a long, long time ago, perhaps maybe you forgot, maybe you believed in the fear for so long, maybe you just forgot that by default, the assumption is that you can choose to be who you want to be and then simply become it. And there's an assumption when you're at this level of awareness, not that it's like some higher level of awareness, so you're better than anybody else. No, it's just, I believe it's our natural state where you're already perfect. But if you convince yourself of the fact and you believe in some kind of idea that states that you're not already perfect, then that's going to become your reality will resemble that more and more. But actually what's happening is that it's simply untrue. It's untrue. So how do you overcome this? Well, one powerful thing that I've come to realize is that you can change the meaning of the feeling. And I've said this a lot, but it comes down to decision. See, what's happening is that when you're so in alignment with who you prefer to be, you're not even going to see fear as true. You're just going to see it as an obstacle or a challenge that is in the way of who you want to become. That's all you're going to see it as. That's all that fear is. See, when you're very in alignment with who you, when you're in alignment with who you prefer to be, you're not even going to perceive a fear as true. And that might sound crazy and a little bit perhaps mind-blowing, but what I'm here to remind you of is that actually, once again, this is your default state. Believing in fear is not needed. Now, this might sound simple, this might sound powerful and it might resonate for you. But I have a question. That question is, are you ready and willing to take on the responsibility of what I'm sharing here? Because what I'm sharing here is opening you up to the possibility that actually fear in of itself is simply untrue. It's untrue. You can flip the meaning around of the fear and see it as untrue. But you can only see it in that way if you have made a decision to become who you want to be. And most people are not willing to do that. They're not willing to do that. Why? You would think that, like, why would you not do that? But the thing is, when you have a lot of momentum, where you've given away your power to some idea, where you believe that there's some source outside of you for so long you believe there's some source outside of you, it can feel scary to become your own source. Once again, that can be scary. So I want to conclude this video with the reminder that you are always becoming something. We are always in a state of becoming more, becoming and becoming and becoming. And it's an endless, amazing, beautiful expansion of becoming more. And it is quite natural to do this. It is quite natural. It's not something that involves resistance or pain. Resistance is pain. Resistance and pain is the obstacle that is stopping you from this natural expansion of becoming. So what I want to share with you is that fear is going to take on a totally new meaning in your life when you remember that in fact you are always in a state of becoming. You're always in a state of becoming something more. You're always in a state of shifting into a different version of who you prefer to be. Right? A different version of who you prefer to be. And the more that you decide that you can become who you want to be, what you'll see is that now you really understand how to face your fear, what it really means to face your fear. In my personal opinion and in my experience, I want to conclude this video with the truth. It's just my opinion that unless you understand that you are in a state of becoming, facing your fear is not going to make sense to you. It will never make sense. You'll never it's like you're always going to, personally for me, before I really grounded into this truth that we're always in a state of becoming, facing my fear never made any sense to me. It never made, and it's like, how do you feel? Like, it never made sense. It never made any sense. But when I understood that I'm in a state of becoming, it started to click and I fully understood how to face my fear. And I hope that this video helped you to do the same. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, all the details for that will be down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.